Le Cordon Bleu College of Culinary Arts is dedicated to preparing aspiring professionals in the areas of culinary arts, patisserie and baking, and hospitality and restaurant management.
Disaster Planning and Response Art Rescue is a first responder for the world of art, providing planning, packing, evacuation, conservation, and storage for all your treasured possessions. Paperweights are the crown jewels of glass artistry. You can discover both antique and modern paperweights at the L.H. Selman Gallery in Chicago's Fine Arts Building.
For coming to Chicago's Main Stage Theater. We pretty much have a packed house tonight, which is very exciting. And for all of you watching on fearnoart.tv, thank you also for watching, and get your Twitter fingers ready. So we are going to be giving away lots of things today on this show, The Dinner Party. The way that this show came together is, my name is Elysabeth Alfano, and I've been doing lots of interviewing for something called Fear No Art. And so I decided to bring all of these creative minds and personalities together to one dinner table. And I did that for a couple of reasons. So you're going to see these enormous personalities and sort of crazy-spirited people, but also these are people who run their lives full force, and that's very empowering and very inspiring. So hopefully tonight is going to be fun and informative and entertaining, and also a little bit inspiring, I hope. So just as the name would tell you, what we do here at Chicago's Main Stage Theater, the last Monday night of every month, is I invite 3 creatives, usually artists, but it could be inventors, entrepreneurs, and they come to dinner with me, and there's a different celebrity chef each month making something for those personalities at the table. So every month we're going to have something different. And tonight, our launch night, is a very exciting one. So what we'd like to tell you is that if you Twitter in anytime throughout the dinner party and you ask different artists questions, if we pick your tweet, there are lots of things you can win. So be sure to have your Twitter fingers ready and go to Fear No Art, CHGO. That's Fear No Art, CHGO. And you can win a signed book by Tony Fitzpatrick, a signed book by Jon Langford, 2 dinner for 2 at Moto. And if you've ever eaten at Moto, you know what an extraordinary experience that is. So be sure to Twitter in. One last little piece of business before we actually bring out our artists is today's our launch, and we've been playing around with what resolution we should upload. So some people are going to be watching on their mobiles, some people are going to be watching on their televisions by connecting their computer, and some people will just be watching on their computer. So we're very interested in your feedback of how it's playing for you at home, so just go ahead and let us know on Fear No Art, CHGO, because we kind of picked resolution smack dab in the middle so that the majority of people are happy. But, you know, we can tweak that. We've got all the great equipment, so we are ready to broadcast live. So enough of that tech trash talking. Let's bring out our artists. It's very exciting. If you're from Chicago, but even if you're not and you're watching somewhere else, you probably know the name Tony Fitzpatrick. For me, he's sort of cult-like status. He's just such a robust figure, and he does more than any other artist I know. So he makes collages and etchings, but he's also a poet, and he had his own radio show for a while. He's an actor, and he's most certainly a playwright, and has had 2 plays already at Steppenwolf Theater, and he has a 3rd coming up. So please welcome, as I do, Tony Fitzpatrick. Hey, hello.
How are you?
Thank you for coming.
Oh, thanks for having me.
You sit there.
Okay.
So sometimes we have people here who know each other, and sometimes we don't. In this case, the next guest does know both myself and Tony Fitzpatrick already. If you are here, it's probably because you are a Jon Langford groupie, as I am. I see him play. Yeah, I hear that in the audience. He's fantastic. I hear him play all over town. He is, of course, a founding member of the Mekons, a founding member of the Waco Brothers. He has his own band, Skull Orchard. He organizes poetry around town. He is an author. Skull Orchard Revisited is his book that's recently come out. So I'm a groupie just like you. Please welcome Jon Langford.
Yes, ma'am. Give her a hug. Give her a hug.
You can hug me from afar.
I saw it on your phone. Sorry.
You sit there. All right. So sometimes we all know each other, and sometimes we don't. And this next artist, I've been wanting to interview for so long. If you think these two do a lot, and they do, this woman just produces on speed. I've never seen anything like it. And I've been wanting to interview Rockwell for a very long time. Chicago's Time Out in 2010 said that she was the director to watch. The same year, she won a Jeff Award for the best musical. She produces more stuff than directs more stuff than is possible. She just finished with Sweeney Todd and The Sound of Music. She currently has a production up at Lifeline Theater, Enron, and she starts rehearsals tomorrow. Very nice of her to be here. She starts rehearsals tomorrow at Chicago Shakespeare Theater for their short Shakespeare run, and she is doing The Taming of the Shrew. So please join me in welcoming Rachel Rockwell. Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming. I've been
Timeline Theater.
Oh, Timeline Theater. Did I say Timeline?
Lifeline.
I said Lifeline Theater. I can't be trusted. I can't be trusted. Sorry. It's Timeline Theater that she has a production of. So I'm going to sit down in just a minute, but I would be remiss if I didn't talk about our fantastic chef, who is, of course, in the kitchen. So Homaro Cantu is the executive chef of Moto, which you've all heard of around the world, I'm sure. They just got a Michelin star, not too shabby. Anytime he does anything, and you'll see that tonight, he's always sort of lighting things on fire and a personality in and of himself. But he's also the host of Planet Green's Future Food show. And he's just started a new restaurant called Ing, where he does lots of flavor tripping. So he's going to take us on that very shortly. I'm going to sit down with you guys. You guys, thank you for coming. Very exciting to have you here. Very exciting to have you here. So you two know each other, but you don't.
No, now we're friends.
Just
Now
met
you're
now.
friends. Yeah, now you're friends. Well, I want to hear all about the productions that you guys are doing. You have lots of things going on. But before we do that, let's address what we all have on our plate. Because everyone in the audience also has what we have here, which is a crazy concoction. So let's hear from Homaro Cantu and see what we're going to eat.
You're probably wondering why you have two chocolate bombs in front of you. That's because they're actually the same thing. And you're going to make them completely different. So Tony, John, Rachel, and Elizabeth, let's prepare to have our hair blown back and our minds blown. So what we have here in this chocolate bomb is we start off with, that's right, fresh out of the atmosphere, some liquid nitrogen. It's just delicious. And you know what? It's actually pretty earth-friendly when you consider that the liquid nitrogen simply evaporates and goes back into the atmosphere. We actually save a ton of electricity here by using liquid nitrogen, not using freezers to freeze things when we could freeze them here in mere seconds. So what we have in that chocolate bomb is more or less a filling of lime and corn tortilla. So we're making a Mexican item here. So we're just going to freeze that nice and hard in there. We're going to bring the temperature down below freezing, so that way when we add it to our mole chocolate, so the mole chocolate has a bunch of spices in it, all sorts of goodies, cinnamon, nutmeg, coriander, cumin. We're going to take this, we're just going to put it in there to coat it. So the cool temperature commingling with the warm chocolate is going to produce a nice candy shell. And then we're just going to lay that down and let it cool. After it cools, the center is actually going to turn into a liquid. The exterior will remain solid at room temperature. Then we take this little beauty right here, which is basically a rice noodle. Think of it as like a Spanish rice noodle that we microwave to puff up. We're going to go ahead and explain this soda in front of you. So basically it's just soda water. And we just pour that into your glass. And lemons. So to this point, everything's tasted kind of savory. You know, the lemon, the soda water, this little guy right here. And the next step is we're going to finish this dish. How do we finish it? We use a magic berry. Some people think it's magic, but it's actually very simple science. You're going to take this tablet and you're going to suck on it. Now, after you suck on it, that same chocolate bomb, after we light it, is going to taste like a dessert. It's going to taste like a sweet corn custard because of the lime. With the Miracle Berry, sour things taste sweet. So that lime is going to turn sweet. The mole chocolate
Sure, okay. All right, so I guess I'll take off where Omar left off. So pretty much you have one bomb because the other one's exploded inside the cup. That's what the cup is there. So they're exactly the same exact thing. They're both tortilla shells, just it's more of a tortilla chocolate soup, and the other one is your dessert bomb. So what you want to do first is actually drink the soup, and then later on you'll eat the bomb. So drink the soup. You could try one lemon, one lime. It's how what you do afterwards. Okay. So everything there's two of. So pretty much we're gonna show how the Miracle Berry actually works. Before you got into it, it's from South Africa, and it has a glycoprotein in it called miraculin, which actually covers up your sour and bitter taste receptors. So things that are normally sour and bitter, such as lemons, limes, trees, plants, whatever's outside, things we normally want to eat, you can eat now with this berry. So this is a great thing that a restaurant Ing does. They have a whole menu based around the Miracle Berry where you can replace sugar in pretty much almost every dessert.
Okay, so we're trying this.
Yes, trying that first.
If I'm sort of...
The lemon and lime, they're there to show you that there are just regular lemons and limes. So you want to try it a little bit, and then after you tried the soup, and then a little bit of a lemon and a lime, you want to take the tablet that's on the plate and let that dissolve on your tongue. It takes about probably 2 minutes or so, and then you go back and try everything again. So you'll try the bomb, try more lemons and limes. Also in the large drinking glass is just club soda. What you're going to do is take some of that lemon and lime and squeeze it into that glass, and you're going to create the first sugarless soda.
Are you lost?
We can go slower. We can go step by step.
Let me do a little translation here.
Yes.
So basically, try everything on your plate except the chocolate cherry bomb. So drink a little of this, go like a little of this, have some water. Everything's very sour. Once you've taken a little bite of everything, which I'm sure you guys have done by now, pop this little Miracle Berry. So what this does is it's a natural way of blocking all the sour buds, and it only lets you experience sweet. So Homaro is actually in the process of making a cookbook about this Miracle Berry so that now you can cook without sugar, basically. So go ahead. Has everybody had the sour? Okay, so pop your pill, you druggies, you addicts. Pop your pill. Pop your pill. How long does it take for our pill?
It's about 2 minutes for the pill to get all the way dissolved.
So pop your pill, and you're going to see that everything on your plate.
It would be funny if they were dosing us.
I did not trick you. These are not real drugs. It's truly the Miracle Berry.
What if I grow really huge?
You will not grow huge. You will not turn into Virginia blueberry or whatever that thing is.
I so hope it's like mescaline or something.
It is not mescaline. Okay, and no one has set themselves on fire, I hope, at our dinner party. For those of you watching on fearnoart.tv, you can tell it's a little bit interactive here at Chicago's main stage. Are you eating your pills?
I've taken my pills.
It's in my mouth.
I feel a lot better.
Smile, it's not a hostage tape. Don't worry about it.
It could be. It could be. Okay. 2 minutes down the road.
Now wait, do you chew the tab or?
You kind of want to let it dissolve all the way. When it's almost done, you could chew it. So pretty much it's a combination of freeze-dried Miracle Berries and a little bit of cornstarch just so it can bind together. So inside that pill is a glycoprotein called miraculin, which occurs naturally inside this berry. What it's doing right now is it's actually covering up all your sour and bitter taste receptors. So when you go back and taste everything again after you've been dosed on the pill, the lemon and lime should taste like lemon and lime pill. The chocolate bombs actually taste like a dessert. You can actually go back and try some of your soup again if you still have some of that. And then you want to drink your soda water after you've added lemons and limes to it. Okay. And it's going to taste like Sprite. So it's going to be a sugarless soda. Pretty much it's just kind of a way that we're at Ing and our other restaurant. We're just trying to open people's minds to different ways you can explore with food and what this little pill can do.
So how do we know when we can try our food again? When do we know that the Miracle Berry is kicked in?
You want to try, so the lemons and limes there, so try a little bit of lemon and lime. If it tastes sweet, you're good to go with the other stuff.
So tell me, when anyone's got sweetness coming from their lemon.
Yeah? Getting there.
Totally bizarre, right?
Getting there.
Yeah.
It really gives you I call it the wide eye effect. when the people try it for the first time, they're like, oh, it's a lemon, okay, whatever. We do a lot of tours at the restaurant and give people these to try out. And the moment they try it with
it's like candy.
Yeah, it turns into candy. Their eyes get real big and they can't believe it's the same exact lemon that they just had.
That's amazing. Richie, thank you.
It's a very cool little pill.
Has anybody eaten their chocolate bomb yet? Yes. Fantastic, right? But everything that was in the chocolate bomb was in the soup, the exact same ingredients. But that soup was so salty, right? And now our chocolate bomb. Okay, I'm gonna take a bite of this one. Have you had your?
You gotta do it in one bite though. It's liquid center, so you don't want to make a big mess all over yourself.
So now it's sweet.
It's dessert.
What's the craziest thing?
So
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Richie. My God. Okay, so Richie's coming back.
I'll be back in a little bit. I gotta go do some more stuff back there. I'm gonna go this way.
Richie's coming back later with our entrees. Okay. So the reason I had asked Homaro, you can see Homaro is busy in the kitchen, but the reason I asked everybody at Moto to come and be a part with you guys is you can see what a crazy creator he is. He's like liquid nitrogen, right? And setting things on fire. And the man is just a powerhouse. And this is what I think of you guys, as all creative powerhouses. And so, you know, I was talking when I introduced you, how much stuff you do, how many things you have going on. You also have a 6-year-old son, so I don't even know how that's possible. So
we all have kids.
You all have kids, but your children are young, and yours are older.
Yours are too, though.
Well, they're sort of
A 9-year-old.
I got one in high school still. So.
Oh, and that's hard.
Oh, that's lovely. That's wonderful, you know.
But I wonder, with all the stuff that you do, what drives you, particularly you, Tony, what drives you to do this work? Is it really stuff you do for yourself, or do you really want others to like it?
Not having a choice.
You don't have a choice.
Yeah. I was lucky that I started making a living at this at a relatively young age. And I was really not prepared to do anything else. I didn't want to do anything else. And, you know, when I don't want to do something, I set about not doing it.
I believe you.
I always tell young artists that if you still have a choice, you know, play the trumpet, collect stamps, do some other goddamn thing. This is really hard.
Yeah, it is. It's hard.
This is for people who have no choice.
Life as an artist is hard.
Yeah, it's.
We often sit around and wonder what Tony would be doing now if he wasn't making art.
Nothing
what would you
good,
be doing?
You know, nothing good. You know, I was lucky in that I didn't have a lot of education beyond high school, and didn't go through this whole crit process where when I wrote a play, I called Steppenwolf and said, you know, I think this is okay. And they gave it a hearing. You know, they came and saw it and then produced it there.
So you're referring to this train and also Stations Lost. How many people here in the audience saw those two? I saw them both.
No one.
Come on, no, it's not true. It's not true. Yes, come on. You have your third play coming up in July.
Yeah, it opens in July. But I always figured that the worst anybody could ever tell me was no.
Right.
You know, in other lines of work I was in, you know, when people were displeased with you, there are other ways of letting you know how unhappy they were.
Yes, yes.
So, you know, just somebody saying no, a lot of artists get stuck with this fear of appraisal or this fear of what anybody else thinks. I honestly never, from day one, gave a fiddler's fuck what anybody thought of what I was doing.
Are you surprised? Of course you're not surprised, right?
I always did exactly what I wanted.
Yeah.
And I was lucky enough that I found an audience.
Okay, somebody wants to talk to you because I've just gotten a tweet. Valia, oh, hi Valia. Valia asked Jon and Tony, they use iconic images juxtaposing pop and absurd, sacred and profane. So maybe we even have a picture of this, of one of Tony's pieces or one of Jon's, either. They both sort of mix pop and absurd and sacred and profane. Why are you guys drawn, oh, that's a nice one. Why are you guys drawn to interstate art and art on the threshold? Why are you drawn to art on the threshold?
We pretty much learned art the same way. I mean, Jon and I met at Graceland 25 years ago.
You met at Graceland?
That's how we met.
I met Tony at Graceland. I was standing outside, and this guy came up to me, and he had a photographer with you or something.
Yeah,
doing some project.
we were getting kicked out.
We thought they were these people who take a $5 photo of you and then charge you for it. So I was like with a guy, Mark Riley was the guitarist in The Fall, a band from Manchester who suffers fools not very likely, and he was like, get away, pushing him away.
This one away.
And it was Tony, but we met Tony. He was actually being thrown out of Graceland because he'd run upstairs.
I'd run up the stairs to
on the
Elvis's bedroom. I wanted to see where Elvis and Anne
And what were
Margaret
you
got
doing?
down.
Oh, God.
I wanted to see the bedroom, you know. So, and then my friend Stuart started jumping on the beds, and all these guys, all these security guards, hillbillies who looked like Elvis. You know, they're red-headed guys with mutton chops. You got no respect for Elvis. You got no respect for Graceland. They chased us all the way across the street to the strip mall, and then they called the real cops.
The real ones.
So we had Elvis cops and real cops looking for us.
Well, I was standing in the strip mall.
And I had seen John's band the night before. I thought,
what the fuck are the Mekons doing here?
Yeah.
I was like,
So, okay, you guys met by almost being kicked out by Graceland.
I wasn't kicked out. I was very
you
polite
weren't.
and
you
deeply
angel.
respectful.
Yes,
but it was-
so respectful. Yes,
But it was
yes.
one of those things. I mean, we you know, I don't know about John, but I grew up surrounded by art that nobody would ever bother telling me was art. Comics, tattoos, horror movies,
Yes,
rock and roll music. Nobody ever said to me as a kid, this too is an art form. I remember the first time comics were part of a big museum retrospective. It was called the High-Low Show. A bunch of dipshits in New York deciding for you and I what was art and what wasn't. Well, when I was a little kid, I knew that Mad Magazine was art. I knew that Robert Crumb was art. I knew that Big Daddy Roth and Ratfink were art. I could feel it. So, I mean, we grew up with that kind of oral wallpaper around us.
Right.
And, you know, Elvis, when I was a kid, I loved Elvis. You know, John Lennon said it best, before Elvis, there was nothing.
Well, you know, I'll ask both of you guys, Rachel and John, and also, of course, Tony, what is good art for you? Because you bring up, you know, lots of people don't consider Mad Magazine art, but, you know, I'm curious, what is good art for you? Like, what speaks to you?
When you see the full force of the artist's personality, when they inhabit the work.
Do you guys feel that as well?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and can you elaborate a little bit on that?
I like stuff that connects. If it connects with me, if it seems like there's a conversation possible,
Yeah.
and there's some ideas being passed to and fro, you know, like a country and western song where something speaks to you directly, and it says, "Oh, all right, I can recognize that."
Yeah.
I hated country and western when I was a kid because I think kids should hate country and western.
Yeah.
But
You're supposed to. It's kind of like a
by the
rule.
time I was 28 and I'd like loved and lost and had a few drinks, it all made total sense, you know.
Yeah.
As a punk rocker, it was like country and western is crap for Irish people, you know.
Yeah.
Late
Once you
night
have a
Irish
tattoo
TV.
of a woman's name who won't sleep with you anymore, you understand country and western.
Yeah,
you know?
it's serious.
You know? Once there's a woman named on your body that just will not bone you ever
not
again.
go away.
Yeah. You know,
You
understand country music.
But something like Merle Haggard, you know, I just thought that was right-wing, nut, rubbish, crap music. And then suddenly Merle Haggard, there were some songs I heard, and it's like, hang on, I can really relate to
Mama
this.
Tried.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that could be his song, that could be my song. I mean, you know, so many times I you know, shamed my mom when I was a kid. I got in so much trouble.
We all do.
And then, you know, when my career started picking up as an artist and my mom got to beam and be proud, I mean, that was a huge motivating thing in my career.
Oh, that was when your mother finally got behind you.
Yeah. No, she was always behind me.
Yeah.
She just when I could finally stop humiliating her and costing her bail money.
Okay, well, all this talk about trouble, maybe we could have a song. Maybe do you feel like it, John? I don't know.
Is it time for a song?
Well, would you sing us a little
Between
bit of trouble?
courses?
Or some trouble.
Yeah, sing us some trouble.
Hold on, I have to get this guitar out of here. Oh, like
Move
that.
to John's seat so I can see.
Yes.
You know, you have a really handsome audience, by the way.
I do have a handsome audience.
Those are some good-looking
Yes.
goddamn people.
I can actually see them now.
Honest to God.
Right.
No face tattoos,
We leave that for you. That's your next
no
tattoo.
wife beater T-shirts except mine. You know, good job.
I'll sing a song about South Wales, where I come from.
Yeah.
I grew up in a seaport town. A lot of the people in the town were sailors. And this mentions tattooing, as we've been talking about tattooing.
Woohoo.
It's not got women's names tattooed on it, but it's, this is called Pearl Sailor, and it's for all the sailors in the audience. I'm sure they must be many. A pit bull tattoo, one good eye of blue, that's wandering still, but what can you do? These ropes that are knotted, tangled round me, I'm a sailor who wandered a little too far from the sea. Did they raise up this child just to die? To stare for too long into one sky? Well, surely bassies from Tiger Bay, but I'll spend my life down in Pill. They shut down the docks, thrown our lives on the rocks, but my good eye is wandering still. Past the pubs where I festered all day. Transport a bridge, transport me away. These ropes that are knotted, tangled round me, yet I'm a sailor who wandered a little too far from the sea. They passed in the channel, great ships by the score, to carry out coal and carry in ore. And at night these old sea legs were anxious to stray. They come from all over and never intended to stay. So tell me something I don't know. Find me a skipper with somewhere to go. These ropes that are knotted, tangled round me, yet I'm a sailor who wandered a little too far from the sea. That miracle pill really worked. I had no idea how to play the guitar before that. That's amazing.
Jon Langford. So everybody in the audience has one, I'm sure. Jon Langford. That was fantastic.
You know, guys with guitars always get all the girls, too. When I was a kid, my father got me an accordion. He wanted a card game.
That did not work for you, I'm
You
sure.
don't get girls with an accordion.
No, you don't get girls with an accordion.
You get old Polish ladies, you know?
Yeah. Did you want old Polish ladies? No. Did you?
Well, you know, at a certain age, you know.
All right, so the conversation takes a turn. But I'd love to hear from Rachel. You know, you work on things. First of all, the amount of what you do is amazing to me. But also you work on things, you direct and choreograph, things that have been done again and again and again. So The Sound of Music has been done a gazillion times. How do you bring a particular vision to that when you've seen it a gazillion times?
Because I usually don't like what I've seen in the past and go, what about this would be engaging to me as an audience member? And for me, it's always honest storytelling. And I don't think that children walk around acting adorably all the time and bursting into unison song when they say in the script 2 pages before that they don't know what a song is, and then all of a sudden they all know the same dance. It just doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. So we just wanted to, you know, tell an honest story. With
How did you get around
like
that?
I just never allowed them to no showbiz kids, and we changed the choreography on them every single night. The Maria would give them, there was a section of Do Re Mi where she would do it, they had to call and respond, and she would do it something new every single night, and they couldn't wait because it could all go horribly wrong, which was when it was best, when they would just dissolve laughing and, you know, when it was a bit of a mess. But that's when it's honest and that's when it's real. And I wanted to create a family of siblings that really related to each other like siblings, that shove and pinch and push and have hierarchy and don't, you know, I mean, and they're in a lot of pain. They don't have parents that love them. So it's not a, you know, the music is happy, which provides great contrast for the incredible amount of pain and darkness for a country that's on the verge of an Anschluss and, you know, children who are loveless and abandoned. So we wanted to get into that. Everybody's like, what, The Sound of Music is so light. I was like, ooh,
sorry,
well, sorry.
Not my Sound of Music.
Not my Sound of Music, so.
My mother took me to see The Sound of Music every weekend for the entire 1960s.
So you must know it by
Every time
heart.
it rained, yeah.
Now here's something odd. I've never seen it.
You've
never seen The Sound of
Never
Music?
seen The
The
Sound
movie?
of Music. No.
Get
never.
yourself to The Sound of Music right
Oh,
now.
I will. Now that I know Rachel's been in it, I will. But
Oh,
The
yeah.
movie and the musical are different, though. They are. The musical was before the movie, and they really lightened up the movie a lot.
well, you know, almost every high school at a certain point does The Sound of Music.
Yes.
And,
Yeah.
I wanted to do theater in high school, and I would always hear him, you know, rehearsing The Sound of Music. Oh, this is for assholes, you know, and because you'd hear, shut up,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
and they never did anything really interesting with
Yeah.
it. And the more I know about the story of the Von Trapp family,
Yeah.
the more it sounds like something that really shouldn't be a musical. I mean, at some point, like Nazis show up, right?
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you
Yeah.
would've
Would've
got
got-
it.
Tony, you would have
You
got typecast again.
Yeah, it's like Hogan's Heroes. It's like, hey, let's have a comedy in a concentration camp. There you go.
Yeah.
You know, I don't get it. I don't get where it's funny. You know, and sometimes the instinct of certain people who put out theater as just entertainment is they get in the way of the story,
Well, that's, I think,
and they
what
don't
you're
ever
saying.
assume that people can handle feeling awful or realizing
you have
furious
to.
loss
Yeah.
or
Well, and particularly children. So your next one, so you've done Pinocchio and Sound of Music, but your next one, which you start rehearsals for tomorrow, so thank you for coming,
Sure.
is Chicago Shakespeare Theater,
Yeah.
a short Shrew. So the Taming of the Shrew, but sort of
You know,
with children in
a
mind.
really light little, yeah. What?
So tell everyone the story of Taming of the Shrew, just in case.
Well, I mean, you know, they're a man with 2 daughters. He needs to marry them, so that
Marry them off.
marry
you
them
mean.
off. And
them, yeah.
one is supposedly lovely and beautiful, and the other one is called the Shrew. And so a man named Petruchio comes looking for money and wants to marry her, and basically, throughout the rest of the play, tames her, or in my production, unburdens her from this kind of expectation that's falsely been put on her by everyone around her. And I think for teenage, it's really an interesting thing to tell to young audiences, because I feel a great responsibility about how I'm going to talk to young girls in particular about this.
Yeah,
But I don't think that there's a single young woman in the audience who isn't going to get being misunderstood, or isn't going to get being tortured by a sibling who, you know, knows how to play the game better than they do. And I really just don't think Kate can be bothered. I think she's surrounded by a lot of, you know, shallow idiots who don't get her at all, and she looks at the world in a different way. And finally, somebody comes along that wants to invest the time to see what she can be as a person, free of the label of being the Shrew. When, you know, I just feel like it's kind of like we write girls off for a period of about 4 to 5 years, and it really feels to me like it's a cop-out on our end, because it is a pain in the ass to try to love them through that really tough time. It's a
Well,
hard
not only
one.
that, but then they change in that time, and so they go from actually sort of being their true selves to what society
gonna
kind
be,
of
and-
wants them to be.
Yeah,
So
and I love when people say, "Oh, they'll come back to me someday." What if they don't?
I have a 17-year-old daughter, and
here we
she's
go.
right in that age right now. And the funny thing is that she's incredibly interesting to me right now. I mean, we have really
wonderful.
challenging conversations
Well, she's challenging you, which
all the
is
time.
neat.
All the time.
Yes.
I mean, you know, I made an etching a few weeks ago that I thought was very nice and very funny, and she goes, "It's not nearly as nuanced." But you know what? Here's
Giving you some grief.
Here's the worst part. She was right.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
yeah.
the best.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, she's 17. Then I realized she knows me better than anybody who's ever paid for my work.
Isn't that, then you know
You
you've
know,
done a good
so-
job with your own daughter.
Well, she's
Yeah.
she's challenging, believe me. You know, she told me, she one time texted me from class.
Yes,
She
to tell
said,
you.
6th grade is tedious. That's not the whole text. I am surrounded by dolts, dullards, and dumbbells.
Well, she's not, you know, the acorn doesn't fall far from the tree,
So
really.
she tried to hustle me into this homeschooling deal.
Ah.
She's like,
From
look,
you? She wanted you to school her?
yeah. She said, look, you can save all this money on tuition.
Oh, she's smart.
You can homeschool me. I can go through the things they send you through the mail, and then I'll just go to the studio and do what you do.
that stuff.
And you know what? She kind of half had me. I'm like, you know, and then her mother was like, what are you, out of your mind?
Of course, yeah.
This kid's taking you over the
voice
hurdles.
of reason.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
I have a tweet. Someone has just asked all of you. Renee Schuler asks, do you guys collect art, and specifically, what do you connect with? And Renee, you are winning Jon Langford's book, and Valia, who texted before, is winning the signed version of this train, which is great.
I collect a lot of art. I'm in art debt right now to
ooh, art debt.
Duncan Robert Anderson.
I know you
I've
like
been
his work.
paying Duncan Anderson off for a year. I'm kind of perpetually in art debt. Not me and
No,
John
I'm in
just
art
trade
debt to
stuff.
Tony because I've got a house full of stuff, and then
I do too, actually.
I was on the phone.
Yes.
I was on the phone to my mother in Wales this morning. I said, "Tell Tony I've still got the lovely etching."
That's great.
I know.
I collect a lot.
Way too generous, Tony.
I collect a lot of Chicago work. I saw, in fact, Renee Schuler that I wanted that was already
sold.
That was already sold at Jennifer Norbeck Gallery. I can tell you the name of the painting was called Farah.
Yeah.
It was a gray painting with a very slight figure in it, and I wanted it, and somebody had already bought it.
So a little handout to Renee, because she's got a great show up at the Jennifer Norbeck Gallery. Really, get a chance to see it.
Yeah, I collect lots of art. In fact, any money that I make that I get to kind of play with, we buy art with.
And what about you? Because you don't, do you collect art? Because you do.
did a lot more before we had a child.
And your husband, I should say, also is a stage director,
sound designer.
Thank you.
Yeah, he's a sound designer.
Yes.
And a musician. So a lot of our
Tell her what he gets to work on this week.
He's at Ghost, the musical in New York right now. So they're loading the show in. And
wow.
Yes, yeah. So that's his
So even though
right
you work with theater, you also collect art.
Yeah, we collect paintings and mixed media. And
Do you do a lot of barter?
Do we do a lot of? No, we should actually.
That's all we
should.
do. That's all we do.
So what do you collect, John? I really want to know.
My wife went to the Unique on Kimball and Elston this morning and paid $4 for a painting by an artist that we found was in like every major museum in the country. Was a woman who's I can't remember the name though. I think it's Crawford. A woman, Jessica Crawford. Or something like that. Have you heard of her? It's a lovely little landscape in a frame, and she just looked at it and said, "This looks good." She brought it home. We went on the computer.
Oh, that's why you married her. You know, that's so cool.
Like, so how much are we going to get for it? She said, "No, we're going to keep it."
Oh, good girl. All the better.
This might pay for your tires.
I've never resold a piece. I have. Saul LeWitt once sent me a drawing because I'd given him an etching of raindrops, and a few weeks later, he sent me a black-on-black drawing.
Oh, wonderful.
But I've never resold any of it. I mean, I suppose if I had to, it'd be worth a lot of money, but it's kind of the only thing worth having, that and books.
This is how I feel, because I don't care about cars, I don't have big stereo equipment, I have nothing new, nothing's technological in my house at all. I just have art. I have art.
I have a hat fetish, but I trade for them.
Oh, you trade for hats?
There's a marvelous hatter named Graham Thompson.
Oh, that's fun.
102nd Western. I trade him etchings or drawings.
We're going to have a milliner on the show come May, because we're having Regina Taylor for Crowns, and we're going to have a
But other than that, I pretty much just, I buy a lot of art.
You buy a lot of art. Well, Tony, you sort of seem in a talkative mood today. I wonder if you would like to perform something.
I'm a chatty bitch.
You are?
I'm that guy.
Chatty bitch, would you like to perform
yes,
something?
Of course I would.
Have at it. Would we like to see Tony perform?
This is from Stations Lost. I went to Istanbul. And there I was in my fancy boutique hotel. I was pursuing happiness. I was in a swimming pool full of warm salt water from the Sea of Marmara, just waiting around, meeting Muslims, making friends. When I'm waiting in the pool, I like to completely relax, so I like to have a smoke while I'm swimming. So I fire up an American Spirit, and I'm pursuing happiness. About 5 minutes later, a gentleman in a most unfortunate bathing suit comes in. He's got one of those little peanut shell rubber band cocksack jobs that are big in Europe. Tells the whole world, everyone must see my junk. He's also wearing goggles like he's in the Olympics or something. I pay no attention because I'm pursuing happiness. Well, he starts doing his laps, and About halfway through his second lap, he pops his head up like a little prairie dog, and he starts sniffing the air. He lifts his little goggles up, and he wades over to me. He says, "Are you smoking? Are you smoking as a put?" I said, "Yeah, Skippy, it's the best place to smoke. Nothing's going to catch on fire." He said, "This is not the smoking place." I said, "You see any no smoking signs around?" I said, "I'll tell you what." But at this point, I felt like there's an international incident brewing, and I thought, my best bet is to deploy my superior diplomatic skills. So I said, "I'll tell you what, partner, you go over to that side of the pool, and you find a way to make yourself happy. You just pretend it's not happening." All of a sudden, he goes batshit. "Epi? Epi? I am not Epi." And he goes skittering out of the pool like one of those lizards that can run on water. Now, at this juncture, there's three things you got to know. Number one, in Turkey, everybody smokes. Babies smoke. You can follow a baby carriage down Taksim Square, and there are whole plumes of camel shag trailing behind it. Number two, while nobody gives a shit if you smoke, Istanbul is a Muslim city. Modesty is a very big thing. Hang on to that thought for a second. The third thing you got to know is that working the desk is my man Kubi. Kubi and I have about 200 lira worth of goodwill between us. He would take a bullet for me. He runs up and he goes, "There's an American smoking in the pool. I want him kicked out of the pool, kicked out of the hotel, kicked out of the world." Kubi brings me an ashtray. "Thank you, Kub." I keep smoking. He goes, "I want him left." Finally, Kubi looks at him. He goes, "Hey, fucking guy." He goes, "Man is not standing up to his chest in gasoline. Nothing going to blow up. But you come running into my lobby, damn near naked in front of women and children, having a little sword fight with yourself. You piss me off." Finally, the French gentleman, he leaves. It's a losing battle, but I noticed my friend Kubi is fatutzt. He is undone. He is scattered. So I say, "Kub, have one of these, my man. Go ahead, just fire one up. Get a big lung full." He lets a big long plume of Marlboro out. He smiles, and an international incident has been averted. They're lucky I was there.
You'll let Rachel direct you. Okay.
Oh, you poor thing.
We're going to take a quick commercial break. Want to hear from our sponsors really fast, and we'll be right back to the dinner party. That was great. Thank you.
Thank you.
That was super
Thanks
fun.
so much.
Le Cordon Bleu College of Culinary Arts is dedicated to preparing aspiring professionals in the areas of culinary arts, patisserie and baking, and hospitality and restaurant management.
Disaster Planning and Response Art Rescue is a first responder for the world of art, providing planning, packing, evacuation, conservation, and storage for all your treasured possessions. Paperweights are the crown jewels of glass artistry. You can discover both antique and modern paperweights at the L.H. Selman Gallery in Chicago's Fine Arts Building.
We are back, you guys. That was fun. Thanks for sitting through that. Oh, hello. Hello.
Yeah, give us a round of applause.
Okay.
Smile. It's not a hostage tape. Let's go.
So I have to say, Megan E. Gaffney is very, very lucky girl because she has won some nice 2 tickets to Moto. So rock on, that's fantastic. Nice. 2 people are going to Moto, which is off the charts great. She's got a question for you, and she's wondering, Jon, do you feel that most of your inspiration comes from music? Because you also paint, so where does your inspiration come from?
Well, that's it. The whole reason I got back into painting, apart from the fact that Tony told me to paint in 1993, was because I was isolated. I moved to the States, and I wasn't with my band anymore. My band were in Europe,
right.
And I was here, and my wife was out 16 hours a day being a graduate student, and I suddenly found myself scribbling and drawing. I'd always done it, and but when Tony offered me, he'd seen some of my drawings and offered me an exhibition at World Tattoo, which is an amazing gallery down by Roosevelt's. Was it down 12th?
It was 13th and Wabash.
13th and Wabash, and I thought, that'd be great. I've always wanted to do that. I was an art student in the first place, and when we formed the band.
He'd been doing drawings for New City, and I kept seeing them, and they were Jon Langford. I thought, is this the same guy who's a guitar player with the Mekons?
I was doing it to get money.
And I ran into him at Cabaret Metro.
Yeah.
And I had just gotten my etching press, and I said, look, you were born to this.
Born to etch?
Well, oh, yeah.
Born to
etch.
Born to etch.
Absolutely. The first etching you ever made belongs in a museum. I mean, it was.
Well, this is one that he's done. I mean,
that's a painting.
That's a painting.
That's a painting, but a lot of what you do is about the music world.
Well, I looked for a subject, and I wanted to have something that reflected what I was interested in, and you know, and actually at that time I was pretty bruised because we'd been, you know, from '77 through to the early '90s, we've been in a touring rock and roll band who've been basically trampled all over by the music industry for all that time.
And thrown out of every decent label. And
many decent labels fired us. So
well, you can't be too punk.
That's how you know you're doing something right.
And I was reading a lot of kind of country and western autobiographies, books about Hank Williams and Bob Wills and Johnny Cash, and I came here and I was like, I kind of got obsessed with that type of music, and came here and realized, that doesn't even exist anymore. It's not here anywhere. It can't be found. The stuff that's on the radio, this country and western music now, is like some kind of suburban crap.
A bunch of dickheads with hats, you know.
And you know, I was very disillusioned. When I started making the art, it was all these things came together, and I actually started trying to make sort of like a memorial to, you know, what I thought was good about that, and you know, and turning someone like Hank Williams into kind of like a saint, you know,
so
sticking him full of arrows, and then making paintings of Johnny Cash, and it was that became my subject, you know.
The one of Hank Williams, there was one of Hank Williams that was done up like Saint Sebastian. And it's kind of what happened to real country music. Because I remember when I was a little kid, there was the barn dance on WLS.
Yeah.
And then all of that authentic stuff went away, and you know, turned into guys like Eddie Rabbitt, you know, and
or worse, Swift. Wait, what's that woman's name? I'm sorry, but it's
Taylor Swift. You don't like Taylor Swift?
It's gotten very, very poppy.
I don't know. I don't even listen anymore.
But how do you? I mean, they're in my mind. Of course, I'm not an artist, but they're very diverse. So that sort of working with the group, you know, songs and being on the road, to that very solitary, not working with other people, painting. How do you?
I had a big problem making paintings. You know, to start off with, I didn't do it for a long time. I was playing music, and music was very fulfilling, and live performance was great, and it was a collaborative thing, which I loved. But you know, when it came down to it, I suddenly realized, why have I got no problem writing songs, and I can't make a painting? What if I treat the painting as if it's a song?
And it's true. You have, if we could show maybe the whale painting, a lot of your paintings have words in them. So so you're kind of, I see, bridging the gap there with your paintings and your music.
I mean, for me, the idea that they occupy the same sort of space in my brain became really powerful. And you know, I'd always, you know, song has lyrics in it, and it has this kind of like musical abstract element. My paintings have a kind of figurative storytelling thing to them, but there's also the textures and the way the paint works in them. They're almost like abstract paintings, you know, as well.
But you feel that that's like music? How do you mean it comes from the same part of your brain?
Yes.
It's like, usually if you can't...
Thank you for that.
Let's have a look.
If you can't draw one thing, you might be able to write it, or act it, or perform it.
Yes.
You know, people are always like, you're always asking him, are you a musician who paints, or you're a painter who makes music? They ask me if I'm an actor or a writer who draws.
Yes.
I think it's all part of the same thing. I think it's all part of one body of work.
Is that true?
It just
for
happens
you guys?
to be, you do it a different way that's more appropriate to what the thing will what will make the thing most true.
So it's not the medium, it's that you have a message that you want to get out or a story that you're trying to tell, because you're also a choreographer as well as a director. So
And I was a performer, too.
And you were a performer.
Yeah.
So that's more important than the actual medium.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's just that human urge to communicate something. You know, it's not even, I would hesitate to say message, you know, with what I do, really, but although I think there probably is lurking in the back there somewhere, but it's just the need to start a conversation. I think songs are like that. And I react to other people's art. I look at Tony's stuff and I react to it and I get things back from it. And it's like kind of, it's you never kind of like have I would say if you have a message in a song or a painting, it's kind of a bit pompous to be like that because it's like chucking a.
Somebody else points out your message.
Someone else is going to get it.
They have
and
to
it'll
tell
be a
you what your
different.
message is.
It'll be a different message for whoever receives it.
And then you feed off of that. Is that right?
But it's always curious because they act as though there was intent, and there usually isn't. For me, anyway, it's just you just do it, and then people interpret it how they want to interpret it.
And eventually it gets arms and legs of its own, and then you come to the point where not one more mark or one more word or anything will change what it is, and it's time to abandon it. We don't finish them. We just kind of
walk away.
But this is always interesting to me. I mean, many people, I think, get on the bus, they go to work, they sit in their cubicle, they can't stand it, they have a great idea, but they don't know how to take it any further than that. And I'm wondering how you guys work through your rough spots. How do you push through? Because not everything is easy that you do. So how do you push through and get to a finished product?
When I was at art college, I had a great teacher called Terry Agnes who just told me, you know what? Don't sit around waiting for the muse. Get in there and work.
Go through
Just do it.
Just get in there and work and do it. And then and actually sometimes, I mean, now I've got a kind of backlog of things I want to get done.
Yeah,
but
that's my problem. It isn't. Whenever I hear, well, I've got an artistic block, you know, I think it's bullshit. I think the only way
having an artistic
creative
block.
blocks.
Oh, okay.
I think the only way through those is literally through those.
You have to just power through.
I mean, I have the other problem. It's like I'm afraid that there's not going to be enough time to get all the toys in the attic out into.
Yeah.
But none of you, this is again a reason I had all three of you together, you are enormous powerhouses, and I'm wondering how you sustain that kind of energy, how you keep producing and giving and directing.
I have
alcohol,
deadlines.
Alcohol, there you go.
I have
really
deadlines,
good food,
I have
miracle
employees,
pills.
I have shit to pay for, you know.
Right,
it's like,
that's a motivator.
I got a lot to take care of. I got a family to take care of. I've
There's
got,
a date where people will be sitting in a theater
Yes,
expecting
I know
to see
that.
a
I know how that
product.
goes. Yes.
So you got.
And it doesn't mean you're done. It just means it's 8 o'clock. You know.
Exactly.
It's like,
Exactly. Yeah.
Yes.
You know, when we did this train the first time, me and Stan were not all the way convinced that it was a play. You know, Annie, thankfully was, you know, and
From 16th, Annie from the 16th.
yeah, Annie Filmer, you know,
yeah,
and
16th Street
thankfully, she said, look, it doesn't matter whether this is done or not, you know. Thursday night at 8 o'clock, the lights go up.
Right, yeah. Well, I think that's true. So for many people who, again, are sitting in their cubicle and thinking, like, how am I going to change this? Just got to break out.
Free your ass and your mind will follow.
It's so true. And it doesn't even really matter what the outcome is.
You know, at some point, every human being should walk up to their boss and go, fuck you. I'm not doing this shit anymore. Go take a flying fuck at a rolling donut. I'm leaving.
Joyce Piven, who I interviewed a little while ago, who would never say that probably.
She would.
She told me the most empowering thing I think I've ever heard, and that she said, when an actor walks out on the stage and they say, I don't know how this is going to go, that's the beginning of creativity.
Exactly.
When you're willing to stand in the face of, I don't know how it's going to shake out, then you actually free yourself to do something creative.
When you're willing to look stupid.
Well,
part of this is having the courage to look really foolish.
I've done that in the music business when you've seen people hone their careers and make very successful careers out of just doing the same crap over and over again and polishing it, you know?
Yeah.
But I think that ends up being a noose for those people.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if Bono feels like having millions of dollars is a noose.
It's a noose,
but
maybe not. Maybe not.
Yeah.
It's
really-
still,
it's
as
really
far as
funny.
I'm concerned, his music is still crap, and I don't want to
You
listen to
know,
it.
Bono and company fired Julie Taymor, who's like a genius, you know, who put The Lion King on Broadway, who's a creative powerhouse and one of my heroes, you know. And I can only imagine what it's like to be fired by fucking Bono.
Yeah.
I wonder if he was wearing his asshole glasses, you know.
I think
I'm so sick of the sanctimony of the Bonos. We're going to save the world. We really care. Fuck you, you know. If you really care, give all your money to the, you know, those who need it, you know, I mean.
So are these your words of wisdom for artists?
Yeah.
Yeah? It's tell everyone to
cultivate the same shitty attitude I have, and you know what? You just might get somewhere, you know?
Okay, I've got one more good tweet, which is great, because this person, Darcella, I'm just going to stand up here because I want everyone to see. Darcella has just won, gorgeous paperweight. Darcella is asking all of you.
I want one of these paperweights.
Oh, great, we can do that. Aren't they gorgeous? I don't know if you can see them in the audience, but yeah! Well, okay, these are very nice paperweights. Please don't drop it. Please, no, not funny. Not funny, it's my sponsor.
I'm kidding.
Darcella would like to know, you guys are also talented, and Darcella want to know, you're also talented, and you could live anywhere. What keeps you in Chicago?
The weather.
Ah, okay. Thank you.
What keeps me in Chicago is, it's one of those places where if you go to New York, you might be electronically reproduced and get famous and all that. In Chicago, you're going to be able to make work. You're going to be able to live a very decent life without mortgaging your lungs away for 900 square feet.
Yeah.
Well, this is metaphorical kind of space in the Midwest, and I didn't understand what that was. But I came from I was living in the north of England, and I moved over here.
I can't move away from where Hot Doug's is.
There's a very supportive, and there's a space here to do things. I always thought at LA and New York, we were there a lot because of the music business stuff. It felt like a load of animals crawling over each other to get past you, you know. And if you didn't do that, you weren't going to get anywhere. And
there's spots in New York I really love, like Brooklyn, where we did the show in Williamsburg. Kind of reminded me of Bucktown, the Ukrainian village, you know, because there was this heavy Eastern European population of people, but Chicago, you know, and then the Midwest, there's this generosity of spirit.
It's so true. You know, it's one of the reasons that I'm doing this show, because of course this is streaming live everywhere. And Chicago's cultural community is often overlooked, and I'm sort of tired of that. I mean, audience, aren't you tired of Chicago being overlooked?
You know what?
That
may be the case right now, but it's changing because now there's an internet, there's
and that's
the
why
social
this show
utility,
goes out to,
and we can all talk to each other.
And we have so many national talents here in the city that it's nice to get them recognized. Well, okay, so we're kind of winding down a little bit. What I'd like to do is everyone tell me the dates of what you have coming up. I know you have your third play at Steppenwolf, but that's not till July.
July 19th, Nickel History, The Nation of Heat.
Nickel History, The Nation of Heat, so be sure to get your tickets. Steppenwolf Theater.
Steppenwolf Garage, yep.
And I know that you have so many things. You've got the Shel Silverstein.
Oh, no, we did that, Shel Silverstein.
But don't you have another one coming up?
Oh, no, it's not Shel Silverstein. It's called Story Night, and it's called The Plague of Darkness.
Okay. Happy things here.
We went to the Korean baths up on Oakton this afternoon to plan what's going to happen. It's going to be like a lot of we're going to call it Deeply Unhappy Hour at the Hideout.
Show up for it's like going to Jonestown for some grape Kool-Aid and a few laughs.
Yeah. No, we're going to be reading from like the works of the great kind of horror writers for the first one. So Arthur Machen, H.P. Lovecraft, Poe.
And when is this?
It's the 24th of February, Friday night.
At the Hideout.
At the Hideout.
You know, there's a new Edgar Allan Poe movie coming out.
Really?
Johnny Cusack is playing Poe.
Oh, is that right? When is this?
It's coming out any minute. It's coming out in the next...
Oh, great timing.
I just think Gothic horror is going to make a big comeback.
Well,
hey, I saw The Grey this weekend. Liam Neeson fighting wolves.
Was it good?
It's great. The fucking wolves win.
Oh,
it's great.
Oh, that is
good. They eat everybody.
That is good.
They eat everybody. They just eat the ass out of like 8 guys. It's great.
Okay, so Rachel, I have a little clip of what you've done with Pinocchio, and maybe we'll show that clip right before Rachel tells us about her new dates. Let's see if we've got a Rachel clip from directing Pinocchio.
What's your name, kid?
Pinocchio.
And, Pinocchio, what is your particular dilemma?
My father sold his coat to buy me an ABC book, and I sold the book for 5 gold coins to buy a ticket for a puppet show for 3 gold coins.
Stop right there. Do you see this? Pinocchio, my lad, you have managed to make something from nothing.
Our speciality.
You started with 0 coins, and now you have... 0 plus 5 minus 3 equals... 4. 6. I can tell you're smart. I can see you're shrewd. I won't spew or squawk hours of idle talk. I can tell that you're not in the mood.
You need to make more coins from your meager teeth.
It's a tricky deal, but you know Schlemiel, so the deal should be easy for you. When you learn the secret of how quickly 2s become 3s, then the 3s make 4.
And the 4 make more.
Money grows on trees.
Chef Award-winning, Chef Award-winning director Rachel Rockwell.
That nose was pneumatic. It was hilarious.
Really? So it could...
Yes, it actually would like grow hands-free. It's the biggest dilemma of the Pinocchio. I've done several of them. You're like, what do we do about the nose?
And what other big challenges do you run into? Because, I mean, I just don't understand how you do this. So you have, 30 people, let's say you work within a musical, and sometimes you're doing more than one musical at the same time. I mean, you're going to leave Shakespeare Short's Taming of the Shrew and go right into hair. How do you organize?
Tomorrow night when we get done with rehearsal, I'm meeting with my assistant Katie to start choreographing hair.
Oh my God.
So yeah, it's going to be a long day, but I love it, so it
right.
feels silly to complain about it.
Yes, yes. And you're on I mean, if I consider these two sort of established cult-like figures in the city, you are on the rise. You are the star to watch. As Time Out said, and you've got the Jeff Award and so much going on. Really, it's a big deal. Rachel, it's a big deal.
Well done.
Yeah, it's a really big deal.
I just still can't even believe that I get to do what I like to do every day and somebody gives me a check.
Yes.
It's cool. It's
Rock
really
on.
cool.
How great is that?
Chicago Shakespeare Taming of the Shrew is February the 21st, I believe, is our first preview.
Oh, great.
And it's for it's geared for families and kids 18 and under. And then hair comes up at the Paramount in mid-March.
Wow, that is amazing.
And Enron is running at Timeline right now. So
yeah, so I mean, you see how much she has going. So we actually have 2 tickets to Chicago Shakespeare Taming of the Shrew, and we're going to raffle that off later, or pull out a name out of a hat later for our audience members, since that's kind of a local production. So we'll do that a little bit later, but I'm really looking forward to that. And I'm also really looking forward to some food. How do you feel? Should we get our entrees in here? Okay, so let's see what our lovely chef, Homaro Cantu, has to say about our meal coming up.
We got to take it one step further. So we're going to give you your entree. The entree is where all the fireworks happen, all the crazy stuff. So we took 3 sandwiches, because I'm a sandwich freak. I like a good sandwich. And here we have a Monte Cristo, which is basically, like ham and cheese, a little bit of egg and bread, and you fry it. So here the ham is actually a 3-year Serrano ham. The cheese is a 6-year Gouda. Wow. And then we wrap it in bread, we fry it, and then boom, you've got a Monte Cristo sandwich that looks like a Monte Cristo cigar. Here we took everything in a Philly cheesesteak. We took actually 9-year cheddar and Kobe beef. We wrap that in bread, and then we throw it in the oven, heat it up, and then that's our version of a high-end Philly cheesesteak that looks like a Philadelphia blunt. Then we took all of the spices that are used in these sandwiches, and we went ahead and produced some ash out of it, because you can't have your cigars without the ash. Boom. Take the cigars, put them in the ash, and now you've got something that looks like it came out of Larry's apartment from Three's Company. You gotta love it. Well, it's been great, guys. It's been a pleasure, a lot of fun. Hopefully I'll be able to catch you at Ing Restaurant at 951 Fulton Market. Until then, cheers and happy flavor tripping.
This is so cool.
He's so creative. He's such a creative genius. And of course, this is sort of in honor of Tony, because Tony's a smoker. How much do you smoke a day?
I smoke enough.
You can smoke enough. Okay. So Tony's a smoker, but today we're not going to be smoking our cigars. We're going to be eating them. So I think Richie might be in the background with some... Richie's back. Richie's back. Great.
Well, stop, but nobody likes a quitter.
Nobody likes a quitter, so don't dare stop. Okay, so...
Thank you very much.
I think this is, for me, something that is very true about good art. We talked a little bit about what is good art and what sort of speaks to you. Commitment. So everybody in the audience is going to get one of these as well. This is so, down to the last detail. So not only do we have ash, and it's in an ashtray. I'm sorry if the cameras can't see this. But it's also got some red spicy sauce at the end, so it looks like it's on fire, that it's lit. It's so amazing. Richie, tell us about this.
Yeah, so you got 3 cigars. We have a Monte Cristo, a Philly cigar, and a Cuban sandwich. So it's all different sandwiches rolled up into cigars. The Cuban is a smoked and confit pork shoulder, pickled onions, a little bit of pickles in there. The center one is the Monte Cristo, which is the Iberico ham, Gouda in there, and then the Philly cheesesteak is actually Wagyu beef and old cheddar. So we take lots of great ingredients, put them inside of some bread, and deep fry them and make them absolutely delicious. And to go the whole way, the idea behind this dish was to make something that looked absolutely disgusting, like someone been chewing on it in a bar, smushed down an ashtray. Like, yeah. You come to a fine dining establishment, here you go, we're going to serve you a cigar inside of an ashtray. So it looks really disgusting, but tastes absolutely delicious. So to push the boundaries of your experience and to make you really jump in the deep end of the pool.
Well, this is why I say Homaro Cantu and Richie and everybody at Moto, these are like the most creative chefs on the planet. So I think we should have some. What do you think?
Yeah.
Cool. Roll it up, you guys. Okay, let's see how this goes.
It's a real cigar.
Oh my God.
Oh man, is that good?
Isn't that good?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Ooh, yeah. Delicious.
I took too big a bite.
So good.
It's so good. Well,
I went to Moto and we had something called Roadkill, which was kind of
This
fantastic.
is one of the dishes I put on. That dish inspired this. The whole idea of it looks like that dish she's describing. It's called Roadkill. It was braised duck leg with red and yellow beets, some puffed wild rice, black lava salt, and crones. Fantastic. So the way we plated it up, we put these on a rectangle plate, and we made the yellow lines of the street, took the red beet puree and splattered it all over the plate, took the braised meat, put it inside there. The crones were kind of the maggots, and there was other things that were floating on top of it. So it all looked absolutely disgusting, but when you mix it all together, none of those things that forces you to do the mind twist thing.
well, this is what I mean about a successful idea. Commitment, like all the way to the end. Like you took it to the full extreme.
Yeah, if we're to go there, we're going to take it all the way to 11.
All the way to the 11. Richie, thank you so much. I'm probably thinking everybody on Fear No Art TV who's watching us now probably doesn't want to watch us chew. So this is actually the end of the filming part of the evening. But if you got tickets for tonight, of course, food is coming your way, and we're going to get off the stage and mingle with everybody, and the bar's open. So we're going to be here for a while, and we'll still be taking your tweets. So even though the filming's going to be over, we're going to continue tweeting, so keep your tweets coming. And as you can tell, it's kind of an interactive experience here at Chicago's main stage. So I encourage everybody who's watching to get tickets for February 27th. It's going to be just as fun as this. The chef is going to be Anthony Martin from Shrew. And if you don't know him, then you live under a rock, because he's just fantastic. World-renowned restaurant. We're going to have Gustavo Ramirez Sansano, who is the choreographer for Luna Negra, which is really exciting. We're going to have director Billy Bungaroth, who is currently directing South Side of Heaven at Chicago's Second City, so that's a name we all know. And we're going to have J.C. Brooks, soul singer of J.C. Brooks and the Uptown Sound. So February 27th, last Monday of February, we will be here, Chicago's main stage. Very exciting. Please get tickets. They're $18. You can get them online. There's probably some link on the site you're watching. And if you can't get tickets, that's okay, because we will be filming, streaming fearnoart.tv. So everybody, thanks for watching. Thanks for being part of the first dinner party. Yeah, very fun, a nice lunch, yeah. And you know that, yeah, you guys, very nice. Okay, crazy. You people are crazy. Thank you so much, so sweet. As you know, always the best conversations happen over dinner. So I hope you'll join us on February 27th. Cheers, everybody. Cheers. I know you don't drink, but cheers, everybody.
Cheers.
Wow, cheers, you guys. Cheers. That was wonderful.